Hey, really nice to be here, Danielle. As LQ, we say business transformation is all about the impact that you generate, and ideally with at least 95% success, thinking along the lines of the 6 batteries of change. And it has been a while ago that we started our cooperation, but I would really value if we can jointly look back and ahead on how we actually worked on charging batteries in the light of Swapfiets.
I'm happy to reconnect again. We know each other already a bit longer than the time when we were working together for Swapfiets, because I know you also in a previous life when I got to know you also as somebody who's really knowledgeable around the topic of change management. So for me, it was really a logical choice to call you at the moment when we were facing this transformation, and maybe also good to understand what Swapfiets is, because maybe not everybody understands what we do. So we are a membership for bikes, so including service, and you maybe recognize us with the front tire, which is the blue front tire, the recognizable one, and we are primarily in the bigger cities. And currently in 8 countries with about 1,500 people, and I'm the Chief People Officer here at Swapfiets. And getting back to the moment when I called you, because in 2020 we were experiencing a moment of reflection, and we were preparing ourselves for a transformation or a change. These changes were basically categorized as one element around efficiency. So how can we make the organization more efficient? It was about international expansion. And the third was all about our operating model. And I know from experience, because the company it wasn't there for that long, that sometimes the element of change management and really internalizing the strategy and the change story is such an incredible, critical moment for a change basically to succeed. So that's why I thought I need to call Anne. You remember?
I remember the call, which was nice. So I remember when you were calling that you said, yes, we actually have this ambition to grow, to scale, but also scale in a manner that we can actually move from just growth to, say, profitable growth. Because that's not easy in itself. And if you have relatively younger leaders often in position, how can you help them to do it in a way that they feel safe and secure, and at the same time also make a good impact for the people around them? That I felt was the ask you had at that time. Do I remember correctly?
Yes, most definitely. And interestingly, back in the days in 2020, we were definitely focusing on growth. There was a very strong internationalization plan. And obviously, due to the different context, the situational context over the years, we also changed that strategy. So we're now indeed more talking about profitable growth. And what you were saying about these young leaders, I also definitely remember, because there was a moment, and maybe you remember that as well, when I knew that there would be some, people might be a bit reluctant to spend some time around the topic of change management, because they were thinking, but what's the point? We can just execute on the change, because that's what we always do. And I knew we had to really push the pause button and to really jointly create this change story and help them to internalize. And I remember this meeting that there was also, I won't mention the name, but a person that was not 100% embracing the change story, and it was a bit of a giggly kind of atmosphere. Yeah. But then we really helped them to internalize it and to practice it on one another, to really think about what could be the questions from the organization. And then I think it was such an interesting moment, at the moment when this person was really trying to internalize and being a bit giggly, but also being confronted with the things that he might had difficulties with in terms of belief. Yeah. And I think that was really an interesting one, because he came out of that session really, helped and enlightened almost to say, hey, now I feel comfortable going to my employees and share the story in a way that I also truly believe in.
Yeah, and that was in the light of the reorganization, I think also, where there was real impact on people and real jobs being changed, and sometimes even having to say goodbye to a few individuals. And so if I then recall how that connected to another pivotal moment, which was in Düsseldorf, where you indeed saw the same individual leaders standing up in front of the group and already talking with even the body posture was different, then I felt quite proud, because you saw they had made a huge move from just, and was only a couple of weeks in between. So in that sense, I can easily remember that.
Yeah, no, that was definitely a moment where we can also be proud of, indeed, to say, we really helped the organization through this phase, which was a difficult phase, and but we definitely managed, and did everything go picture perfect? No, of course not. But I think that's also why we're human beings and we're dealing with human beings, and and that's
where the pace. I still, in that sense, that is one of my most interesting memories. I've worked in China. I thought I understood pace, but I did not have a clue about what pace was when I was in your reality, because the Swapfiets pace, it was contagious and really amazing. So I think in that sense, the way you were able to both get the strategy formalized, get it actually exchanged with the larger population, and get everybody behind it and mobilized to really execute upon it. It was just in the framework of not much more than 1.5 months.
No, that's true.
And that was really incredible. The way that was pulling off, I had not seen that pace. Definitely not in some of the corporate world. So and I hope it's still that spirit is still around, because that was really, really amazing.
Yeah. The Düsseldorf event we actually continue doing with this group of people, and we do this leadership team offsites about 3 times a year. Mm-hmm. And in these moments, we really feed the founders' mentality again. So what would you do if Swapfiets would have been your own company? What kind of behaviors would you show? What is the mindset that you should have? And that direction and that compass is very helpful still. Yeah.
And if I recall correctly, then if you looked at the batteries, because we did measure them, not only with the leadership team, but even with the group beyond, I remember you were already in orange and green. So knowing that in the database, often 1/3 of the companies is even in red, I think you were already in a good space back then. But there was, especially in the middle battery, powerful management infrastructure battery, which is all about connecting strategy to real day-to-day execution, organizing for success, organizing your processes from a client perspective, organizing your structures in that way, making sure that your KPIs were clear and really understood by every individual, that there was quite some work to do. How did that evolve? How did you take it from that knowledge that there was a bit of work?
Yeah, we did quite a lot in that, maybe with the same pace as we did back then. But I think the drive and the energy is already in this company. I think where we could mature was more on how to bring a change, for in this case, from A to B. So we now have a centralized PMO office, which is a project management office, where there is really invested in a project management capability, so called. So our projects are now being executed in a way more streamlined way, with much more professional frameworks, etc. With people who have done that also in the past. That is definitely also helpful. And at the same time, we also really invested in the tech capabilities, also to really create this foundational, this foundation, so-called, to really, so we are also able to scale further, because that fundament was also something that we had to invest in.
And how do you get that working in a company where everybody would like to really bring their autonomy and their spirits to work?
Yeah, the proof of the pudding is always in the eating. So I think celebrating successes once the PMO office actually finished or achieved a particular milestone or a project. But I think also the involvement, because there is so much energy and there is so much willingness to help and to support and to think along. And I think what we're doing really well is really making use of the energies that we have within the organization to let them think along. So it is a bit of a combination of a waterfall project, but with continuous input from the frontline
organization.
Yeah.
If you look at the way that you charge the powerful management infrastructure battery, there was about charging the rational side of the organization. At the same time, you told me when I checked in with you halfway that you did quite a bit of work on the culture element too. So how can you build on the culture where maybe the founders are no longer around, but where you still have that really strong culture that you also bring to market in the way you actually reach your customers?
Nice question, and lots of things already popping in my mind. But when we were going through this transformation, so-called, we were also being triggered about, hey, what is the purpose and what is our mission, what's our vision? And we also have been looking at that, and we landed on this purpose-driven mission, which is called "We Lead the Movement to More Livable Cities." And with that, we also were thinking about, okay, what are currently our company values? And there were company values at the time. But when I was checking in with a few employees, what do they mean to you? I got either very different responses or very similar. So I felt like this is an opportunity to really also shape our company values in such a way that it's more aligned with our purpose-driven mission and more aligned to the strategy going forward. And there was a bit of an activation program eventually afterwards to really activate those values. So it was a bit of an maybe a few months project, but it really helped to bring the culture even more alive and more aligned with our purpose. So I think that was nice about it. And one of the values, for instance, is make it happen. Make it happen is also, but next to made simple and be supportive and grow further. That's the other one. But make it happen, I think, is a nice example. That's also really in our business culture, so-called. Because if you look at, for instance, a guerrilla marketing activity that we did recently. So we really made it happen to really shake up the Amsterdam city by putting all kinds of signs throughout the city with a bit of a wink towards Swapfiets. And obviously, that's just something that we just make happen, right? To really bring a bit of buzz into the city.
And how can I see success in how you evolve in that direction if you look at your company results or how you measure your success? For example, if I look at KPIs, I will see maybe profit as a KPI, but do I see other KPIs that are very prominent in your organization that connect, for example, to this purpose? How does that come alive?
There are lots of KPIs, obviously, that we look at. And every Monday morning, I also present all the most important KPIs to the whole organization. So on a weekly basis, we all know where we stand. So we look at, for instance, the delta of the first deliveries of the bikes that are going to our members and the bikes that are coming in, also to basically measure the growth. We look at customer satisfaction, obviously, as a very important driver to understand how well our service is being perceived. But also the average time that it takes in order to make a field appointment. But also the number of repairs that we're having and the number of brokens that we're having, because we also have, if you look at sustainability, for instance, we also would like to make sure that the fleet that's on the street is not broken.
And have I read it correctly that you are currently also certified B Corp?
Yes, actually, we are. So a few years ago, we achieved indeed the B Corp status, and that's perfectly in line with our purpose, obviously, to become a very sustainable company. And also, if you look at the bike itself, we in a few years from now, we really would like to bring a bike type on the market that's 100% circular. Yeah, and that also impacts a bigger scheme in the whole network, right? So it's the whole supply chain and all our suppliers and the whole network around it.
At some point you said, indeed, we want to grow smart and we want to grow, indeed, profitable, and that requires a different way of scaling. If you then look at a profitable growth, are you able to achieve that already in the cities that you're now operating in?
Yeah, 2/3 of the cities that we are in are already profitable. Yeah. And we continue on that path. So in the upcoming years, the whole organization will be a profitable company.
What were then the main differentiators that brought you on that path? So it's the tech capabilities you were saying. Yeah. It's actually having better capability to drive projects which are maybe connecting a bit of the strategy towards the execution. So that is an element. Were there other key elements that really brought you on that more streamlined path?
Yeah, it's focus and making choices, making explicit choices to change our international expansion plan, changing our product portfolio. So also making just do what you're good at. So we are in the bigger cities with 5 products, focusing on the B2C proposition, and now we added the B2B one, but then also primarily focusing on the employer proposition. And I think that focus helps a lot in streamlining.
And if you would remeasure the batteries, what would we see right now?
I think we definitely grew in the elements that you touched upon. I think the one that I find the most challenging still is the last battery.
And the last, you mean
the connection with the employees all the way down, because we have so many different locations across Europe. With also managers that are doing a great job, but sometimes also have to filter what kind of information goes through and what information is going to be in the middle. And that is sometimes the struggle to really making sure that all the employees at all levels are being informed about the right things.
Back in Friesland Campina, I remember also the skip level meetings. You would allow a large part of the organization, which is maybe at different cities, just online, just blog in or take that moment in the calendar of Mark. And then those people could actually meet.
Yeah, so what we are doing, we call it a fireplace session. And that's 4 times a year. So every quarter, we just have an open mic for everyone. And they can just speak up anonymously or not anonymously. They just can decide for themselves. And it's open for everybody. And the whole management team is at everyone's service. So you can ask anything you would like to. So, and that's sometimes a bit scary, because you think, oh, well, what kind of question is coming our way? And actually, it's any question that is on people's mind is being addressed, is being treated also in a respectful manner. And I think that those fireplace sessions are actually really helping us.
So nice vehicles to...
And will it lead to a green battery on the last one? I think then we need to measure it again. I would say. But I think that's still the biggest challenge, because we are so decentral.
So if people recall, reorganization was mainly coming from the third pillar, and the other two were more also growth oriented. Danielle, it has been a real pleasure to be here. Thank you for the open sharing, and also sharing the detail of the story, how you started from already pretty charged batteries and actually continuing the journey to charge them even more on the growth journey of Swapfiets, to not even only a profitable company, but also a company that is making really great impact. So thank you for that, and I will 100% keep following you on this track.
And also thanks to you, Anne, for this very nice conversation, and for reconnecting again. I think you and the team of LQ are doing an amazing job. So let's stay connected and see each other another time.